other videos.
First official
yeah
appearance. Where
why is my face so red? Hot shower.
Yep.
So welcome to a family talk video featuring Bryson Nobles.
Hi.
Are you excited to be here?
I'm here.
He is excited. He doesn't seem excited, but on the inside, he's excited. He'll learn to fake it until he can make it. So welcome to a family talk video. This is just a series of videos in which we, or just me, or maybe one day just Bryson, talk about some of the things that we've learned along the way when it comes to our marriage, our family, our faith, and just wondering if our mistakes or any wisdom, if you even think that we have wisdom at this stage in our lives, if it can just help in any way, if it can help anybody else out. So we thought today we would talk about Sabbath and why we are choosing to start orienting our life around Sabbath. And I think that Sabbath sounds really overwhelming for people.
Yeah.
Would you say? I think people don't really understand what Sabbath is. So I thought, as we jump in, the first question, before we explain what Sabbath really is to us, we could kind of talk about what our misconceptions of Sabbath were. Yeah. So what do you think is your biggest, or was your biggest misconception about what Sabbath is?
I thought that Sabbath was more of like a 24-hour Lent. If you don't know what Lent is, it's just where you give up something and then you take the time that you would normally think about it. So if you spend 4 hours on social media, whenever you want to do social media, you instead take the time to pray and read and reflect on what Jesus is teaching you. And so I thought, okay, that's just kind of what Sabbath is, crammed into 24 hours. And you kind of eat and you don't do anything, and you try and spend as much time in the Word and praying and just thinking about God.
Yeah.
But that is not what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I felt the same way. I really thought that Sabbath had this undertone of you don't have to work, you're meant to rest, but you're also you don't play. There's no there's no playing in it, no technology, nothing like that. You're just supposed to be in a dark room with the Bible and a candle and reading and praying and worshiping God. So that's really what I thought Sabbath was, and that was really, to me, I was like, that sounds awful. Yeah. Whether that speaks to my relationship with God or not, hopefully it doesn't. It just, that sounds like a lot of work and not like a lot of rest. That sounds like even praying sometimes on my car ride into work for 20 minutes is really a lot of work to me. Yeah. So, okay, well then that rolls into, what would you say Sabbath actually is?
Well, we haven't really done a Sabbath yet.
No, we're working towards it, but
from our
understanding of the concept.
You've listened to more on what Sabbath is. I've only read the book from John Mark Comer, the Ruthless, Elimination of Hurry. Just finished it once. I'm not a big reader. But from my understanding of the reading the book and talking with you, it's more of like a time to rest, but also do things that fulfill you while you keep your mind centered on Christ. And also as a way to kind of recenter yourself and your family. Because throughout the week, you're giving yourself to people and to things and to your job. And you have maybe a few hours every night, but you're also just doing more chores and whatnot during that time. So on your Sabbath day, whatever you choose that to be, it's more of okay, this is a time for me and my family to kind of recenter and end the week, as well as get ready for the next week to come. So in that, being fulfilled by things, which is the fun part about Sabbath, where it's
there is fun.
Yes.
The fun is involved.
But it's fun in a serious way that you're still doing fun things that fulfill you intentionally towards recentering your life, I guess.
Yeah. So if movies fulfill you, or if baking fulfills you,
right,
or playing games, those things are all welcome to be part of Sabbath. Yeah. It's not about ignoring everything so that you can solely focus on your relationship with God. It's about living in the gifts he's given you in life, whether that's like baked goods again, or a game, or your husband or your wife or your kids, and just realizing that those are joys God has given you in the world. Yeah. And so you're finding joy and having fun and recognizing that God has given that to you. Yeah. For a lot of people, cooking is not joyful, and then you have like all the dishes to do and stuff like that. So people choose not to do that stuff, and maybe you go out to eat, and that's fine. It's not about not spending money or not doing things, or it's just about not doing anything that feels like work to you. Right. And so for me, that would be what? Like doing dishes really is work. Laundry, work. Grocery shopping, work. Love grocery shopping, love everything about food, but it is work. So those aren't things that I would choose to do during a Sabbath.
But at the same time, you don't want to like spend the whole day doing one thing. So it's like, oh, I really like playing this game or baking, but you don't want to spend your whole 12 hours doing that one thing, because that's just not healthy. You want to maybe spend a little bit of time doing that, but then also probably having like family-centered activities that you can find that are really enjoyable and restful at the same time. So maybe going to a park, or doing some sort of special activity. Maybe, I don't know what would be like.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Going to get ice cream.
Or going for a hike, which is like another step of like going to a park. We all three like being outside. Zeke loves being outside. And so I think, okay, maybe on our Sabbath, we can go for a hike one week, or one week out of the month, we'll go on a hike. And that's going to take a couple hours to do that. But that's like one activity that you can do. And yeah.
And also to note, you should still work on your relationship with God in this time.
Yeah, for sure.
So you should still carve out time to have some quiet time, read the Bible, have some time to pray, listen to worship music. It just doesn't have to be you in a dark room with a candle.
Right.
It feels very orthodox and legalistic, but it's not how it's meant to be.
That's a great word.
It's just resting and recharging.
But, sorry, one more thing.
No, you're good.
In those activities, it's not like you want to also keep your mind on God. So if you're hiking, it's like, okay, well, like during the hike, let's point out things that remind us of God.
Wow,
or pray.
Look at all the birds God created.
Or just like maybe pray on your hike, or like have scripture playing, like something else that you can do that's still like keeping your mind centered on God.
Yeah.
So that you kind of get two birds with one stone.
All the birds that he created.
Stoning them.
Sorry, that's the Pharisees. Okay, moving on. Okay. So why do you want a Sabbath? Why are we choosing to Sabbath? Like we know what it's not, we know what it is. Why are we doing it?
Well, learning from what my misconception of it was to what I now believe it will be is kind of exciting. It's like, oh, this is a cool thing to do, and it seems very enjoyable. And I don't think I've really struggled with it. Maybe I do more than I think, but the recentering, where it's like, okay, maybe your life is on, if you think of it as an orbit of a circle, like work throughout the week, especially maybe a whole month that's super busy, maybe that like takes off and now you're in kind of an elliptical pattern. And so you need to get back to being
those words though.
Okay, you want to go?
No, I like it. Keep going.
So maybe you want to like take the Sabbath to kind of get back to that circle, symmetrical orbit. I think that I need that more than I want to admit, but I haven't really contemplated or thought about it really until learning about Sabbath. And I'm like, okay, I think that would be something that's very beneficial for me and as a family as a whole, going from 3 to 4 soon. I think we need to start getting that sort of a rhythm in our life so that we don't get too far off the path and then you kind of are just gone.
Right.
At that point, it's very difficult to come back from that. So that's why.
That's good. I think mine isn't quite so mine is probably much more selfish in the sense that I'm just exhausted and I feel drained and I feel burnt out and I feel feel unsatisfied with a lot of things in my life, not necessarily at home, but in my work life and my work-life balance. And while I don't know that taking a full day off out of the week is gonna recenter that or fix that, I do think that Sabbath is something that we very specifically are called to do as Christians. And I think that in order for me to either have change in my life or for my heart to change such that I can appreciate my life more, I need to be sitting at the feet of God and spending time with him. And he has given me a 24-hour period to do that and to do it in an enjoyable way. And so it's twofold. It's that I really just feel exhausted and I need rest for the rest of my week. But it's also that I'm hoping that in that time, God can grow me and teach me and speak to me, and I can filter through the junk in my life to figure out, like, what is God calling me to? Where does he want me? Am I where I'm supposed to be? And if I am, then I expect that time to fill me back up so that I can handle like my week, you know? Yeah. So.
Why do you think that Christians are called to do it? For those who maybe not
have
listened or read anything.
It's very explicit in the Bible that you're called to Sabbath. Yeah. So, yeah. We'll actually, just as a note, we'll put a bunch of resources down below. And the link will link John Mark Comer's books. We'll link some of his podcasts and other books and podcasts that we've listened to on Sabbath. Yeah. And really good articles about why Sabbath is so important in the Christian life. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to decide which question to do next. I'll just go in order. In what ways are we planning to change our routine to accommodate Sabbath? So I have a lot just based on like my routine. Do you feel like you have any?
I don't really know what kind of like responsibilities and tasks we do routinely besides laundry. I mean, there are things that we do that can be like pushed a day or two. If maybe the dogs need to be washed, and if we don't get to that by Saturday, then we can say like, okay, well that's just getting pushed. But laundry, if we actually need clothes, we need to make sure that laundry's done during the week for the week ahead, because we're not going to do that on Saturday. So I think maybe making a list of things that have to get done, and then maybe a list of other tasks that are more flexible. Mm-hmm. And then whenever we have time during the week, we say, okay, we have 15, 20 minutes. Let me wash the dogs. So that that doesn't come on Saturday, and we don't have to smell them on Saturday. So
because you can't do anything about it on
But
Saturday.
then also the tasks that need to get done, we need to kind of say, okay, Monday we need to do this. Yeah. Tuesday we need to do this. Or you just fill them in based on how much time you have. Because throughout the weeks vary. Yeah. By week. Like maybe one week you have 2 or 3 dinner dates, and then the next week you have like 1. So depending on what needs to get done every 2 weeks, then you just kind of say, okay, well, let's do it tonight because this is the only night that we have enough time to do something. So yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like laundry was a thing that I did on Saturdays, and I've already started moving that throughout the week, so that, because what we're thinking is that our Sabbath will be a 24-hour period within a week, and it will either be Friday night to Saturday night or all day Saturday, depending on what Friday looks like. Yeah. We don't feel like it needs to be super rigid within like a set, like every Friday evening to Saturday evening, but we do think there needs to be a rigid like 24-hour period. But any like what other things though? So like laundry, grocery shopping. I usually grocery shop and film on Saturdays, so that has to. We might push that to Friday night, or I might have to fold and do like grocery pickup or something, which I really don't want to do because I like being in control of the green beans that I pick out. And it's hard to trust people in the pickup. It is. It's made for some really funny memes for COVID, but it's definitely hard to trust people when you're picky. Maybe a control freak issue that God will work on during Sabbath. And then
like other things, like we are gonna set Zeke up a box of toys that are specific for Sabbath. So this is something that we heard about on a podcast, because it can be really hard with little kids to Sabbath. And one of the suggestions was get them a box of toys that only comes out on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And you like have traditions in the sense of like, okay, on Friday, we're going to ring in the Sabbath by baking a cookie, like a giant skillet cookie, and we're all going to eat out of it, and that's how we're going to ring it in. And then at first they get excited because they're like, Sabbath means cookies. But over time they realize like what Sabbath really comes to mean. But when they're little, it's hard to explain that to them and explain to them why the TV isn't on, or why we're not doing work, or why we're not going to drive to X place because driving feels like work to us, that kind of stuff. Right. Another big thing for me is I enjoy cooking. I enjoy baking more. But cooking is still work for me because I do film it most of the time.
And then I do the dishes.
And then he does the dishes,
which
is work for you.
It's kind of been a little bit different.
Well, we can talk about that later. But that's a different video. Dishes, that feels like work for you. So the goal would be to cook enough food on Friday or whatever day before, if we do it on Friday evening, to cook enough food to get us through that 24-hour period so that we don't have to cook. Or allocating money to going out to eat. If you really like going out to eat, go out to eat. If that doesn't feel like work for you. Some days for me it feels like work to go out to eat because of our child.
And then we're going to have another kid. We got to bring two kids to a restaurant. Let's just get Chick-fil-A and eat it in the car.
Well, that's car like seats. Perfect Sabbath meal, right? Because that's the holy chicken. Anyways, we're going to get sued for that. I'm just kidding. But, what was I saying? Making sure we have enough like made food in the fridge, that we can have in food that we enjoy because we like to eat, but also so that we don't have to cook, and that a clean dishwasher. So the dishwasher is empty so that we can just take our plates after we eat and just put them straight in. There's no dishwashing, which will take a little work because there's some stuff that we own that you don't dishwash.
But I think I was actually thinking that too. That's a good point. Like cleaning out, let's say Saturday's our Sabbath day. On Friday, clean out the dishwasher if it's empty, if it had just gotten run, empty that out. But also clean out the sink and the drying rack so that nothing is there. So that on Saturday, if you do have dishes that need to get hand washed, you put them in the sink, soak them maybe, and then you just leave them
until Sunday. Yeah, you just can't do them.
You just don't do them because that's not fulfilling. It's work.
And if that makes you really anxious, you have to figure out then that you can't use those dishes. Like if you have dishes and you're like, I cannot go to bed with a sink full of dishes, then you can't use dishes that you're gonna put in that you can't put in the dishwasher, or use like paper products, which make them recyclable.
Products in the microwave,
Come on, like
there's plenty of things.
If
Lean
you have
cuisine.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I was just thinking that. I'm like, what if we can't find food? Like, do we put food in our freezer that we can just heat up?
Potentially, yeah.
It does take some planning, I think, is what we're trying to say.
But you're gonna learn it as you go. So don't think that it's gonna be perfect the first week. I'm not assuming that. It's very hard for me as a perfectionist to be like, okay, let's plan it all out and let's knock it out of the park the first week.
Getting an A on this project, people. Getting an A.
It's not gonna happen. We're probably gonna get an F. And then up it to maybe a B after a week or two. Are we going to fail
our first semester? Are we going to be on academic probation?
Next question.
Actually, that's the perfect segue into
Spiritual
the last...
probation.
Maybe. Okay. That's the perfect segue into the last question, which is, what about Sabbath makes you the most nervous?
I think that keeping our boundaries with friends and family.
Which you can still do. You can still hang out with friends and family.
Right, but sometimes maybe that's not going to fulfill us. Or
might feel more draining.
Maybe you have an event that your friends want you to go to and you're like, that does not feel like it's going to be great. So keeping the boundaries there, because a lot of people don't know about Sabbath, or are just maybe against the idea of it, or you might not have friends that are even Christians, which is totally fine. And they don't even know what it is. They've never heard of that word.
They're like, you're doing what?
So keeping those boundaries, I think, will be interesting. But one of the ways that I think we've discussed is putting like a do not disturb on your phone, and then it will text somebody. Like if they text you, it will say, "Hey, I'm on Sabbath right now. Like if you really need something, call me twice." But for now, my phone's
don't talk to me.
My phone's disabled for the next 24 hours.
I'm only talking to Jesus and my family.
Not that. Yep. Something like that.
That's what mine's gonna say.
So doing that, and I think that kind of like when you're on a diet, you really want to just have like those cheat days. I think that you can't really do that with Sabbath because Sabbath is like a 1 day a week thing. So you don't get very many opportunities to actually do it. So you have to really force yourself, okay, I cannot cheat on this. Yeah, I have to keep my word and keep my boundaries with my family because my family is my priority. So as well as my relationship with God, which that's a whole part of it, but you get it. So
we hope you get it.
That's probably what I'm
most nervous about. But it sounds like you already have a plan for it. You're such a perfectionist in that. That's what I love about you. Always comes with a plan. For me, I'm most nervous about managing Zeke. For right now, at this stage in our life, like because of just his toddlerhood and his attitude is just sometimes trash. I love him, but it just is what it is. Sometimes it's just a trashitude. And so I think that's what I'm most nervous about, knowing that that's going to take work to figure it out. So it's not going to happen. Like it's going to take probably a couple of months of Sabbathing to feel rest in that as we get into that routine with Zeke.
Well, feeling out what works for him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know how to tell us what works.
He just knows how to cry.
Cry or not cry. Gotta figure out how to do not cry.
It's two options. It's not crying or crying. It's one of the two. And so, that's what I think I'm most worried about. I don't think at first it's going to feel restful. And I think that that's okay. I think that's normal. And I think if you can push past that and you can be analytical and be flexible and figure it out and know that you're going to fail for the first couple of times and just ask for God's grace, but also just ask God to show you, like, God, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Can you help me come up with some ideas? Like, Holy Spirit, can you lead me?
Yeah.
And how we can make this more efficient. I think God is going to be so willing to answer that and be very honoring of the fact that you're trying to Sabbath and honor one of his commands on your life. So,
but in a practical sense, I think doing your own research,
for sure,
maybe that's outside of the podcasts or the books. And just say, what do people do for Sabbathing? Do your own research on Google, and I'm sure that there are other people that have created lists of tips and tricks on how we Sabbath, and then just try and get inspiration from other people in that sense. So
that's all good. So we are gonna have this baby in
less than
24 days, unless she comes sooner. If she wants to come sooner, she can come sooner. And then we're gonna spend a couple of months doing a Sabbath challenge, and by that we just mean trying to reorient our lives around Sabbath. And then we'll check back in and we'll let you know how it's going. Let you know what's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
Maybe cry a little bit on camera. He'll cry, not me.
Oh.
Yeah.
I won't cry.
He doesn't cry.
I do.
He does cry.
Just not on camera.
Just not on camera. Okay, well, we're almost at 25 minutes. If you've made it all the way through to listen to us ramble, we are grateful. Very grateful for you. Very grateful for the time you spent with us. If you have any comments on how you Sabbath or what you do or your thoughts on Sabbath or whatever, please leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear them. We'd love tips and tricks. If you have any questions, comment down below. We'll try to answer it, or we'll answer it in 4 months. So just remember that you commented that.
Well, maybe we should put a Q&A together. If questions happen, we'll put a Q&A together, and then in the 4-month checkup, we can go through the Q&A and then talk about our own stuff. So it's great.
I like it. All right, bye, fam.
See ya.